At his peak, Carlos Ghosn ran three of the world's largest car companies simultaneously: Nissan, Renault, Mitsubishi. He was on the cover of every major business magazine. He was celebrated as a turnaround genius. He had saved Nissan from bankruptcy and built an automotive empire that spanned 4 continents. And then Japanese prosecutors arrested him on a private jet in Tokyo. He was held for over a year, stripped of his passport, placed under house arrest, watched around the clock, and then he disappeared. He was hidden inside a large black box, the kind used to transport audio equipment, loaded onto a private jet in Osaka, flown to Istanbul, and transferred to Beirut before Japanese authorities understood what had happened. The most powerful automotive CEO in the world escaped Japan in a box. So, how did he do it? Who helped him, and did he actually do what Japan says he did? Carlos Ghosn was born in Brazil in 1954 to Lebanese parents. He grew up in Lebanon, studied in France, and built his career in the brutal, competitive world of global manufacturing. He joined Renault in 1996 and was sent to Nissan 3 years later as the French automaker acquired a stake in the failing Japanese company. Nissan was bleeding money. It had accumulated billions in debt and had not turned a profit in years. Ghosn cut 30,000 jobs. He closed 5 factories. He restructured everything from the supply chain to the boardroom. Within 2 years, Nissan was profitable. Within a decade, the Renault-Nissan alliance was the 3rd largest automotive group in the world by volume. The business press called him a miracle worker. In Japan, a manga comic was written about him. By 2016, he was simultaneously CEO of Nissan, CEO of Renault, and chairman of Mitsubishi, a structure with no real precedent in global business. He oversaw annual revenues exceeding $170 billion. He was untouchable. Until November 19, 2018, his private jet landed at Haneda Airport in Tokyo. Japanese prosecutors were waiting on the tarmac. A team of investigators boarded before any passengers were allowed to disembark. Ghosn was taken off the plane in front of his staff. He was arrested before he reached Japanese soil, in any formal sense. The news spread through the business world within hours. It was the kind of arrest that stops rooms. The charges were serious, underreporting his compensation to Japanese financial regulators by tens of millions of dollars over multiple years, misusing company funds for personal expenses, transferring personal investment losses onto Nissan's books. Ghosn denied everything. He said it was a conspiracy, orchestrated by Nissan executives who feared he was planning to merge Nissan and Renault more tightly under French control. He said the arrest was a corporate coup dressed up as a legal proceeding. And here is the strange part. Japan's criminal justice system has a conviction rate of over 99%. Not 99% of people who go to trial, 99% of people who are charged. Prosecutors in Japan do not bring charges unless they are certain of conviction. Pre-trial detention can stretch for months. Legal counsel during interrogation is restricted. The pressure to confess is significant. Ghosn's lawyers called it a system built for guilty verdicts, where the presumption of innocence existed on paper but not in practice. Japanese legal experts said the system worked exactly as designed. Ghosn spent 108 days in his first detention before his initial bail was granted. Then prosecutors rearrested him, released him again, rearrested him a 3rd time as they filed new charges. The cycle continued through March and April 2019. His cumulative bail eventually exceeded $14 million. His lawyers called it hostage justice. The pattern, arrest, release, rearrest, was designed, they argued, to break him before trial. He surrendered his passports. He was monitored at his home in Tokyo. He was not permitted to leave Japan. Most observers assumed he would be convicted. Most observers had not accounted for what was being planned. Remember this detail. It matters in the next 3 minutes. The man who organized the escape was named Michael Taylor. Taylor was a former United States Army Special Forces officer who had gone into the private security business. His clients over the years had included intelligence agencies and high-net-worth individuals who needed problems solved quietly. His son, Peter Taylor, had befriended Ghosn's family during the detention period. Together, they designed the escape, The plan used a detail of Japanese customs law. Large audio equipment cases, the kind used to transport sound systems and stage gear, were not routinely screened at certain departure points. They were bulky, heavy, commercially common, and subject to different handling than personal luggage. On December 29, 2019, Ghosn told his security monitors he was staying home for New Year. He was not staying home. He walked out of his Tokyo residence, past the cameras, past the monitors. He met two members of Taylor's team at a hotel. Then he did something that is almost impossible to believe. He boarded a bullet train south to Osaka. December 29th is one of the busiest travel days in Japan. The start of the New Year holiday. The train was packed with families, tourists, commuters, and holiday travelers. Carlos Ghosn, one of the most recognized business figures in Japan, sat among them for 2.5 hours. Nobody recognized him. He arrived in Osaka at approximately 7:30 p.m. and checked into a hotel near Kansai International Airport to wait. The next stage of the plan was built around a single technical fact. Kansai Airport's cargo screening equipment could not physically accommodate a box of that size. Taylor had chosen the case specifically because it was too large to fit through the X-ray machines. Customs officials had no way to scan it. Ghosn was placed inside the case, holes drilled into the bottom, hidden from view above. The case was loaded onto a Bombardier private jet. The manifest listed only crew. The documentation was clean. The Bombardier landed in Istanbul at 5:15 a.m., 45 minutes later, traveling on a French passport that bypassed the surrendered documents entirely. Ghosn boarded a second private jet to Beirut. Lebanon has no extradition treaty with Japan. When Carlos Ghosn stepped off the plane in Beirut, he was beyond Japan's legal reach. Japan did not know he had gone until the following morning. By then, he was already in Lebanon. By then, he was already beyond reach. He held a press conference in Beirut on January 8, 2020. He said he had not fled justice. He had fled injustice. He said the charges had been engineered by people inside Nissan with political motives. He named names. He has been in Beirut ever since. His wife Carol joined him. His supporters call it exile. His critics call it a comfortable escape. Japan issued an arrest warrant. Interpol issued a red notice. In Lebanon, neither carries any practical force. Michael Taylor and Peter Taylor were extradited to Japan from the United States in 2021. Both pleaded guilty. Michael Taylor received 2 years. Peter Taylor received 1 year and 8 months. They paid for the escape with Japanese prison sentences. Ghosn has paid nothing. He gives occasional interviews from Beirut. He says Japan cannot provide a fair trial. Japanese prosecutors say the evidence against him is overwhelming. The alliance Ghosn built has fractured under different leadership. The companies continue. Carlos Ghosn is in his early 70s now, living freely in Beirut. He built an empire across 3 companies and 4 continents. He was celebrated as one of the greatest executives of his generation. And when the system he had operated within for 30 years turned on him, or when he turned on it, depending on who you believe, he escaped inside a box. The box is the detail nobody forgets, not the charges, not the courtrooms, not the Nissan-Renault alliance, or the billions it was built on. The box, in darkness, on a jet, gone. One question before you go. Do you think Carlos Ghosn is guilty, or did Japan's justice system give him no real choice? Drop your answer below.